Welcome back to the channel. I am Joe. This week we are starting the cheap bike build-off, so stay tuned. You may have seen me post a teaser picture of this frame a little while ago over my Instagram. Links down below in the description. And yes, this is actually one of two bikes that I'm going to be doing for the cheap bike build-off during the month of February. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll get both of those videos dropped in February. One bike that's kind of an okay bike, and one bike that I'm a little bit more excited about. It seems like myself and a lot of the other people doing this, it's pretty much what we do all the time anyway, rebuilding bikes on the cheap. But this time for me, since the two bikes that I have to do are very different, and because they were almost basically 100% complete when I got them, and because they were both free because they came out of the trash, I'm going to go as far as I can on the cheap to do them upright, to get them back going for as little money as possible instead of the $150 cap, which is what the whole theme of the build-off is. The idea is to repurpose, rebuild, give new life to these older bikes to get them back out to be used instead of ending up in the scrap heap, which is what we're going to have happen. So let's take a quick walk around on what we've got here and talk about the plan. So this is a Raleigh bike. Like I said, it was complete. I've since started tearing it apart. I actually stole some parts off of it for another bike, but I've replaced those parts and we should be, I believe, fingers crossed, we have everything that we need to get this bike back going. And I think maybe I might have to buy some cables, and I did have to spend some money on a saddle. So it's an aluminum frame, 700C, which I've not done before. And it's kind of cool because I saw a sticker on it that this bike, when it was new, was actually sold at my local bike shop. So it's just really, really dirty. It's really grimy. Everything's greasy and dirty. The front and rear derailleurs were just caked. Those have actually been soaking in some super clean solution, getting cleaned up. Has a suspension seat post. I don't know. I'll probably have to build the bike and then go ride it around to actually test it under load to see if it works. It's got a little suspension fork in the front, which is freed up. Maybe it's really easy to service these forks, these old spring forks like this. You pop the caps, it's a couple bolts, you drop it all out, clean it, grease it, put it back together. Maybe we'll give it a service. The headset is clunky, crunchy, definitely needs some grease, definitely needs the torque changed. I think it got loose because it needed grease and then somebody tightened it down. So we'll take that apart. If I have to buy a new headset, these unsealed bearing headsets are pretty inexpensive. But it's a size small, medium, 17-inch frame. I was really, when I saw the bike, before I kind of looked at what size it was, I was really hoping it would be a little bit bigger because I thought it would make a really cool starter build for a gravel bike. Real short suspension fork in the front. I probably would have gotten rid of the suspension seat post, but 700C, I think it's got 40 700 by 40 tires on it. With plenty of space, I could have put like some 45s or some 47s with a little bit of tread, converted it to 1x, and I think it would have been really a cool bike. But we're gonna put it back together, and it's just gonna be a commuter, hybrid kind of bike that I'll be able to sell and keep funding all the other builds that I do. So let's start getting it cleaned up and start getting it put back together. Now it's a little hard to see in the video, but as you can imagine, this thing was filthy dirty, pretty scratched up, paint transfer from whatever other stuff it's banged up against. So first thing was to wash it and get it cleaned up. I ended up using a buffing wheel just on a drill and some automotive polishing compound. Definitely not how you would want to go about polishing a car, but it turned out pretty good. You can see on the fork here the stickers were messed up. I peeled the stickers off, and here's after it was buffed. You can notice I'm in the basement now because the high in the Iowa has been in the teens. So in the back corner of the basement doing most of the assembly, and got some new stickers I just printed with the Cricut. Nothing fancy, but they look pretty good, and the frame looks phenomenal in person now. I've been putting this little Bigfoot logo on the bottom of the frames of all the bikes that I've been rebuilding because why not? Got some rear brakes, of course cleaned everything up, re-greased everything. Nothing fancy, just some standard V-brakes, but of course they're going to function way better now that everything's clean and greased, and of course we'll adjust everything. Yeah, but it's literally just like what I'm working on. Get the other one put on. I know a lot of guys building these older bikes say that V-brakes are their favorite and they like them better than disc brakes, and I gotta disagree 100%. I'd rather work on disc brakes any day over V-brakes. That being said, these still are easier to work on than cantilever brakes, but I do prefer the look of cantilever brakes. But I did not have a set to go on this bike. Brakes are good. This is the original derailleur that came off of the bike. Soaked it in a degreaser solution, cleaned everything up, lubed the wheels and the springs and the screws and everything. It's a little ugly, but it still functions really well. It's straight, and it's going to be, I know that it works on this bike. This is the original 3x crankset that came off of this bike. It originally had some big stupid plastic chain ring guard on it that was broken, so I took that off, cleaned everything up, and looks pretty good. The Shimano stickers were all half peeled off the cranks, so I ended up peeled those off the rest of the way. Gave them just a little bit of buff with Scotch-Brite pad, cut some new stickers, put them on there. Saddle I had laying around, nothing special. I've got that suspension seat post in there for now. We'll see if that ends up staying. And the stem, another thing that I'm not a huge fan of, but you know, this is like a hybrid bike, and the goal is just to put this back together and get it back on the road. And I think whoever buys this bike, they'll appreciate the adjustability. And there was nothing wrong with it other than the fact that I just didn't like it. Bars, gave those a little buff and clean up. It's the bars that came off of it. Little riser bar. These shifter and brake lever combos came off another junk bike that I got for free. They're Shimano, it's 3x7. They work perfectly fine. Gave them a little cleanup, took the covers off the shifters, gave them a little grease, and they're going to be way better than the tired grip shifts that were on this bike when I got it. I believe so far the only thing that I've put new, brand new on this bike is a rear derailleur cable. I think I have repurposed every other part up until this point. I think I bought these grips at some point and had them on a couple other bikes, but they were cheap, and everything else has come off of free bikes that I've gotten. Got to put the old school wire bottle cage on it, of course. Yeah, but it's all gonna be. Yeah.
Look how little this is, but it's so little.
Some pedals. I have no idea what bike these came off of, but they're in good shape. The bearings are free, and they'll be, of course, good enough for this bike. Back out to the garage now. I'm gonna throw the wheels and tires on it. Again, this is the set that came off of it. This is the 700C bike. 100 and 135 mil quick release axles. Unfortunately, it was just a freewheel bike, but still works really good. Tires and tubes, good shape, hold air, and again fit the whole feel of this bike, being kind of a hybrid bike. This would make a really good start for someone to build a budget gravel bike. Aluminum frame, 700C, maybe swap out the seat post, swap out the cockpit, a little bit more aggressive tire. There's plenty of room to get a little bit fatter tire. That little suspension fork, which actually cycles extremely well. I was really impressed. The wheels are admittedly pretty ugly, but I don't have access to my hose right now because it's still freezing, so we'll get those cleaned up. And there's the bike all together. Looks really good. Wish I would have, had the desire or the parts to change a couple things, but it's going to be perfect for what I built it for. And what I did build this bike for, like I touched on at the beginning of the video, was to essentially spend as least money as possible. Not just getting the bike going, but putting back together a really good functioning bike with good quality parts on it. I would say, other than cosmetically, I suppose, because yes, it does have some scratches on it and stuff, this is still a better bike than 98% of the bikes that you could buy at Walmart. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. But I realized that the cheap bike build off is more technically focused, taking an older bike and making something really cool on a limited budget. But that's kind of what I do or have been doing anyway. And the next bike that I'm doing, because I'm still waiting for parts and for warmer weather, I just didn't get it done for the cheap bike build off. It doesn't really help doing this in February for us here in the Midwest. So the next bike that I do will be more focused on kind of that, and I have several more bikes that I'm going to be doing under the same premise as spending as little money as possible, taking an old mountain bike, building it back up to make it as cool as possible on a budget. So if you are new to the channel, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, check out my links to Instagram and Facebook down below, where I post a lot more stuff than just the YouTube content on a regular basis. And I don't only do mountain bike stuff here on the channel. Like I keep saying, if winter ever ends, I will be doing more DIY 4x4 stuff with the GX 470, with the 3rd gen 4Runner. Spoiler alert, just got a new set of tires for the 3rd gen, so I'll be showing you guys that. And I have some maintenance stuff that I need to do, some regular mod stuff that I'm gonna be doing, and I will be bringing it all to you in videos. So stay tuned for that. Until the next video drops, thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.